Right, it is March's Time Machine time. Where are we going to land today? As always, welcome to this, your Talking Town Time Machine with the Gov and Coxie. Looking forward to seeing where we land first. Coxie, where are we going first in our time machine?
Well, what a great way to start our time machine in March. And we are reliving the 30-year anniversary of Johnny Lars Blue and White Army winning the division. I think it was Division 2. We were the last Division 2 champions before, because the season after was the inaugural Premier League season. And and we have a home tie against Derby County.
So now, this was the race to the Premier League.
This was the race to the Premier League, which we won.
Yeah. That's what the season was dubbed, I believe. Yeah, race to the Premier League.
In this season, Blackburn were the favourites because Jack Walker just took over and he was plowing a lot of money into Blackburn Rovers. But just behind them was this Derby side, and I don't know if it's just before this game they invested on the front two of Gabbiadini and Paul Kitson.
So it's 1992. The great John Lyle is in charge. But before we go to the Time Machine game, we find a familiar face to help us break it down. Let's put some context of the time. News, music, movies. What is number one in the box office at this time, Coxie?
Number one in the box office is a remake of a classic. I can't remember where the original was from, but it was a film called Cape Fear, starring Robert De Niro, and it was Nick Nolte was another one. But Robert De Niro is the baddie who's harbouring a grudge against his lawyer, who's Nick Nolte, and he comes out of prison and gets into his mind and tries to extract his revenge. It's quite a good thriller.
Is it?
Yeah.
You ain't sold it very well. I'm going to be brutally honest there.
Oh.
I think that's the sort of film. No, I'm all right, thanks. Come on, entertain me with some music then. Try and light my fire that way. What is number one at the time?
Number one at that time is Stay by Shakespears Sisters.
No, can't say I know it too well. We'll see if our contributor knows that well. A little bit of news for you on this day, right? So March 28th, got the 6th American Comedy Awards. Kathy Ludman, Judy Watkins, Billy Crystal, Anne Transon runs female world record 50,000 at 3 hours 35, and the PBA National Championships won by Eric Forkel. There you go. That's the news. This is 1992. It is Derby versus Ipswich, or Ipswich versus Derby. It was correct format. 2-1. Dazelle with 2, 15,000 people. And to help us remember the time, you know him, you love him. It is the Cruncher back for a second stint.
Shakespeare's sister. Stay with me.
What? Do you know it?
You gotta hope and pray.
There you go. Look, Cruncher remembers it. Gav, look.
That's the song.
Sing me a bit of it.
I just did. I'm not singing you no more.
Indulge me in the 1992.
I was 16. Fest. I was 16 back then.
You were 16, so 16. It was okay. What was 16-year-old Cruncher getting up to?
Oh.
Following the town to the Premier League.
Were you home and away at this point?
No, I went to my first away game. It was literally the game before this. This is my first away game. The game before when we played Cambridge.
Really? What was the score that day?
1-1. Simon Milton scored for Town, and Mick Heathcote, if you remember, Craig Forrest catches the ball and he nudges him and then he backheels it in the net. It was a foul all day long.
I completely agree with you. So, okay, tell me, you're 16 years of age, you're following the Town for the first, going away for the first time. Is 16-year-old Cruncher a rule breaker? Is he behind the bike sheds? Are you a good... studious Cruncher? What is a Cruncher? Give us an indication of what Cruncher.
I think I had curtains back then. I think I had curtains as well. Shocking. Wow. Shocking hair. I've got some shocking hair. I think my mum's got some shocking pictures of me when I was a...
Do you remember the film Cape Fear?
Not really. Not a really big movie fan, to be quite honest. So
no. Did Coxie not say it to you?
Not really.
Not really, no.
I'm search for it. I'm not going to search for it when I come up here, am I, really?
You're going to have this for the future time warps, time machines.
I was looking at the... Coxie said about they'd signed Gabbiadini and Paul Kitson. They've also got... Tommy Johnson was playing Coxie. And do you remember Ted McMinn?
No,
remember him?
Ted McMinn.
Ted McMinn, he was Scottish. He was a winger, and they called him the Tin Man, Martin. Google him.
I
Him.
will.
But
Ted
also
McMinn,
in midfield,
Tin Man.
playing for Derby that day was he signed for Town not long after that. Geraint Williams.
Geraint Williams.
Yeah.
From the halfway line.
That's the one.
From the halfway line. Love it. Right. Well, let's get some footage of the game up, and you can talk us through it, because it is a time that I remember from reenacting in my grandparents' front room as a kid with the season review. That's all I really know it for. I've said that on the Craig Forrest show. I've said that on various Talking Towns. But this is a game that you were at, and I believe Coxie was at. It finishes 2-1. Talk to us about it then, Cruncher. What do you remember of this game?
On here stand. Here we go. This is Romeo's on the van. Lovely ball over the top. Look, Dazelle. That's a midfielder. Gets forward. He's going to take one for the goalkeeper there. Slots it home. Paul Goddard there celebrating with him. Look, running to the north stand. Gabbiadini.
Is it right in saying that this was just a magical time to support Town where we?
Oh, look at that! What a save that is by Craig Forrest. He's plucked that out the top corner. Look at that!
Friend of the show, Craigie.
What a save that is!
That is a hell of a save. Next time we get Forrest on, Crunch, we'll have to mention that.
Unbelievable! What a save that is! And look at this. Yes, newsflash: Town used to score from corners. Everybody.
No, I don't believe. I need to say it again. Don't believe you. Don't believe it didn't happen.
In swinging corners from Neil Thompson. There you go. Little flick header. It's 2-0 at the North Stand then. Look at them there. All celebrating. That's when your away fans, Martin, were down here as well. Behind.
Is it really? Where were they in relation to the corner?
Just where Jason is now.
To the left.
So,
to the left. So
if we pause.
The Town fans on the right, and then they had two pens, didn't they?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
To the left of them. And they had the old scoreboard there. Me and Matt Phillips. I don't know if you remember them, Coxie. Do you remember the dancers, dancing little potato men?
Oh, the little.
Yeah.
Space Invader thing. Yeah.
Why is it every early 90s goalkeeper had the same sort of shirt? Like that real.
Steve Sutton in goal. Steve Sutton's in goal for them. Mickey Stockwell.
This is great. I love
Goddard.
Oh,
he's got to.
He should have scored that, shouldn't he? Should have scored that.
So we were 2-0 up. We were coasting, and then Paul Simpson.
That's a finish.
That is a finish on the volley.
Yeah,
that is a hell of a finish, and there we go. So 2-1 to the Super.
That was Town. There was 10 games to go when they started that game, and Town went on a 5-game winning run. Then beat Barnsley after Derby, Barnsley, Southend, Wolves, Newcastle. You've got to do that for the time machine, Martin. Town when they beat Newcastle 3-2. One of my favourite.
Fantastic game.
There you go. There you go. Coxie,
so
get it in.
20 points from the last 10 games. They say 2 points. Average of 2 points. Town finished top of the league that season. Middles were second. Derby County were third. And Cambridge United were up there. And Cambridge United almost made it to the Premier League, Martin. Lost in the playoffs to Leicester. Let that sink in.
Is that still the time when they were doing the team? Yeah. No. Can't be. Well,
What's
there
that?
you go. Well, then they used to do a playoff where the third bottom from the top league.
No, that was
only the first season.
That was about 86, I remember, because we got relegated from that would be the first division then, Coxie, wasn't it? Because it went to the second division, and we finished third bottom, and we played Charlton in the. That was they were in the they were in the first division, and we were in the second division. We played them at home, and it was 0-0. Paul Cooper saved the penalty again, and then I think we lost 2-1. That was when Charlton were playing at the Valley.
There you go.
2-1. Steve McCall scored, and then I think they played Leeds United in the sort of playoff final. Then I think that was 2 legs, wasn't it, Coxie, back then? They used to even the final.
Yeah, that was the first season of the playoffs. They'd done it that way, and I think then that reverted to what we know today.
Everything was almost 2 legs.
That's still that's my favourite season, Martin, as a Town fan. You know, growing up.
Yeah.
Lifting a trophy at Portman Road. I know Matt goes on about that. That's the last time we see us lift a trophy, and it was a fantastic team. If you look at the crowd that day against Derby, it was only just over 15,000.
Yeah,
you think
15,000. Yeah,
that's like you're up the top of the league, and it wasn't until sort of Newcastle, them later games, you were getting 20,000 then. But John Lyle, what a manager, brilliant manager,
underrated as Town manager.
Yeah, and a brilliant team, and I still say to this day that team doesn't get the recognition that it deserves.
Which is why I put it in. I thought 30 years is going to have to. We have to put Johnny Lars Blue White Army in there.
Definitely.
That team: Forrest, Neil Thompson, David Lineker, John Ward, Mick Stockwell, Romeo Zondervan, Jason Dezelle, Steve Whitten, Simon Milton, Paul Goddard, Chris Kawamia.
Gavin Johnson on the bench. You had Steve Palmer as well.
Yep.
So it was a really good. Phil Whelan obviously coming in. He Coxey towards the end of that season. Linnigan got injured, and then Phil.
Yeah,
Whelan.
I think that was actually the next game, the Barnsley game on the Tuesday night. David
Then
Lemon,
he got
went off
injured, didn't he? Yeah, and then he played.
Phil Whelan.
Yeah, he played on the Saturday, scored at Southend, and then he scored on the Tuesday night against Wolves.
Yeah.
One of the best stories we've ever had from a player, David, is Ian Marshall when he says about Whelan and John Lyle. Check it out; it's on the platform. That is a hell of a story. When he,
I think Craig Forrest, when we had him on, also told us that story when
he did. Got the Forrest as well,
landed right on the side of John Lyle's head,
and he just says, "Right, lads, in we go, in we go." That's it. That's it. Great manager, great time. I'm so jealous that you got to live through it. Who was your, as we close the time machine on this chapter, who was your favourite player from that team?
From that team, I'd say Jason Dezelle. I remember that season, a few seasons like before, like building up to that. He played centre midfield, Martin, and sometimes he'd go missing. I think Paul Goddard might have had an injury, and he had to go up front. Blackburn was another game, Coxey, just after Christmas. Do you remember when we beat Blackburn 2-1?
Yeah.
And Jason scored the winner that day. And I always thought sometimes he played really well up front, Martin. He was a central midfielder, Dezelle, but he got all the attributes to be a good striker. You know, and I think, you got him, you got Kiwami, and obviously, look, Johnny Walk. Look, we all love Walkie, don't we? And he came back that season. He wasn't even signed at the club. I think Tony Humes broke his arm. He was training at Town. They signed him, and then he got Player of the Year at the end of the season.
There you go. There you go.
Right, centre half.
Cruncher, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by on the 92 Time Machine.
No worries.
Hopefully see you again soon.
Johnny Lars Blue One Army.
Absolutely. Coxie, who was your favourite player from that period?
Well, there was a couple. Jason Dezelle was always my favourite. I think that's why I used to let my heart run my head around Andre because of him. Simon Milton was always good. But Neil Thompson, who put that corner in, he was underrated. He had such a hammer of a left foot.
Oh, he did. Goal at Southend was phenomenal.
Yeah.
On his right foot, that one.
And he scored later on that season at Carrow Road, and that was the sealer for the 2-0 win. He just rifled it in. Brian Gunn, no chance. Fantastic.
There we go. So that's kicked off the March Time Machine. Let's see where we head next. So it has landed on 2000, Coxie. It is Saturday, the 25th of March. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff. Ipswich Town versus Fulham. To join us, we have got a familiar face. You may have seen him in February. He's back again. It's Lewis Robinson. Lewis, Ipswich Town versus Fulham in the year 2000. We've jumped 3 years from where you were previously.
I know, and we're still all wearing the same clothes.
Amazing.
Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal.
This time travel is amazing, isn't it?
It's absolutely amazing. Our washing machine bill is just, we got you got to say the pennies these days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, can't afford electric bills. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. And the time machine, Lewis, does cost a pretty packet. But we are in the year 2000. Can you tell me the films and music of that year, Coxie?
I can, yes. So, I know you love a bit of trivia, Gov.
Absolutely.
So, number one is not a song I remember, even though I do remember the singer, is Jerry Halliwell, ex-Spice Girl. And number one was a song called Bag It Up.
Yeah, I've never heard of that song, Bag. I can't even remember how it goes. Lewis, does that song ring a bell to you? Bag It Up by by Jerry Halliwell?
No, that was
me neither.
That must have been after the Spice Girls split up and they all went solo, but I can't remember that particular one.
I'm gonna have to get it on YouTube and play it.
Probably one of those songs that once you've heard it will get stuck in your head and you won't be able to shake it. So I think I'll pass on listening to that one.
I'm going to get it. No, I'm going to get it. Here we go. Bag It Up by Jerry Halliwell. It's going to come into the show. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what the tune goes like. Like, I'm great with music normally, but this is a song I can't even tell you how it goes. So we are going to say bye-bye just for us. Here we go. Can you hear that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't ring a bell
And
at all.
that was number one.
That was number one.
That was number one in the charts. Can't have stayed
Yeah,
number one.
taking a
for
lot
very
to guess
long.
on it. It was there for very long.
Was it not?
I shouldn't think so. No.
I think at one point though, the Spice Girls could do anything, couldn't they? And everything they touched turned to gold, as it were.
Oh,
Do you think, Lewis?
I think
You know,
they
was
did do
just
anything.
so phenomenal. Films then, Coxie. What are we talking about with films?
Well, the top film at this time was Erin Brockovich,
Erin Brock.
which I got a funny feeling Sandra, what's her name, Bullock's in.
No, that was Judy Roberts, wasn't it? Erin Brockovich.
I was getting them two mixed up.
2000, man. It's getting further and further away. I tell you what was in the news though. This bit I do know. Can you guess what was launched in this month, Lewis? Can you guess what it went on to become the best-selling item in its field?
A few minutes later.
iPod?
Oh, you're
That would have been my
so
guess.
close. It's not the iPod. Let us know in the comments what you think it is. Lewis, if I play a certain tune to you, your childhood, your teens, they may come flooding back. Here we go.
Oh, PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation.
So much emotion in one sound. That was launched in 2000. The Sony PlayStation
The
went
original
on to become
PlayStation. Wow.
went on to become the best-selling console.
I thought it was out before then. I think I was still knocking about with Sega Mega Drive in those days.
This is it. I unless the website I'm looked at is incorrect, it says the Sony PlayStation. Sony PlayStation launched one of the best-selling ever console. That sound though, before we get to the football, brings back so many memories.
Yes, sleepovers, playing PlayStation far too late at mates' houses when we probably should have been in bed.
Absolutely.
Everyone rushing to get the latest copy of FIFA and falling out over what team you were going to be. But yeah, absolutely. Gave you
So
hope.
many. Or you stood there and you get to that loading page and then you're like, oh no, it's not working. So you got to take it out, you got to breathe on it,
Yeah.
and you got to wipe it. You know, you're thinking, please work, please work, please work. But yes, here we go. What happened in 2000? During March of 2000, the newest Sony gaming console, the PS2, not the PlayStation, the PS2 was released for sale in Japan. Same thing. The PlayStation 2 has become the best-selling game console in history, selling over 155 million units worldwide.
So it's the PS2.
Yeah, PS2, not the original. Same thing. Same sound at the start. Same phenomenal memories. SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. SmackDown, Know Your Role, that sort of thing. LMA Manager Series are just some of the best moments of my childhood. Right, Lewis, we are here, of course, to talk about the year 2000. Fulham, a 1-0 victory. What do you remember of the time? You know, as I bring the game up.
I mean, the game itself probably. I mean, if it had ended up 0-0, it certainly wouldn't be featured on here. But I think what makes it a classic is that it was the start of Rusomania. So back then, didn't have a January transfer window. The window went on slightly longer into March. And I think the day before was deadline day. And we signed, probably to most supporters, an unknown Dutch winger with slicked black hair and pretty cool suit, and he rocked up on the Friday before the game by the name Martin Rusa, and
don't forget the swagger as well, Lewis. Remember he had the swagger when he walked, and he real sort of
so cool, probably arrogant. He loved it, didn't he? Loved the hype, and he loved us. And yet this, the goal, literally, I think he'd been on for about 10-15 minutes. One of the last kicks of the game, we won 1-0. We ran over to the crowd in your stand, Martin, and
takes his
hugged
shirt
fans, and that was it. And he took off. And yeah, like I say, the game itself, I think, was quite a tense, nervy affair. Fulham, probably similar to kind of like Bournemouth or Brentford, had been sort of bottom division for a long time, but Mohamed Al Fayed had taken over, hadn't he? And they'd risen up through the divisions. And I think that was their first season in Division 1. And obviously we were challenging for promotion alongside Charlton and Manchester City. And obviously we're into March. I couldn't tell you exactly how many games we had left. But yeah, you know, we got that crucial win and got so close to automatic promotion. But in hindsight, again, you know, wasn't to be, but we got the glory days of the playoff semi-finals in Wembley, which I don't think any of us would have swapped now. So, yeah, and Rooster played such a key part. But also as well, with the actual goal, such a good run from Jamie Clapham as well. And, you know, he was capable of doing that, cutting inside, keeper on rushing, and Rooster slipped it underneath him. But, yeah, from the league table, you can see how close we were to automatic, but set us up for playoff semi-finals against Bolton, who we'd lost out to the year before. And you can see there, I think Fulham came top half. They had some good players.
The following year they won it.
Yeah, following year they won it. Yeah, I think they had Karl-Heinz Riedler. Can you remember him? German striker.
You're spot on there, Lewis. Karl-Heinz Riedler was the manager and the player manager.
What was he?
They also had some other great. I mean, we mentioned in our February show, Paul Pescalino, who you mentioned, got Terry Phelan. Chris Coleman was playing for him as well.
Wow.
Who went to be Wales manager, and a certain player called Barry Hales, who I think has haunted us a few times with different sides. Swine.
He has. I mean,
Barry Hales was decent, wasn't he? Just at that level was just a handful, just big, strong. But I think, the following summer they got, can you remember the French guy, Jean Tigana?
Yes, with
flair. He came in as manager.
The toothpick.
Yes, that's right. And he got promoted the following year. So, they were relatively new to the division, but they were a club on the up, obviously, having been in the kind of basement leagues for quite some time. And, tough game. I think we had the best of it. And, thanks to Bruce, broke away and got the goal, and things went from there.
90th minute winner. The team on that day was just phenomenal. Wright, Mowbray, Venus, McGrill, Gary Croft, Jamie Clapham, Matt Holland, Jim Magilton, Jermaine Wright, David Johnson, James Scowcroft, Naylor, Stockwell, and Rooser on the bench. Obviously, Rooser coming off the bench, and the league table. I mean, in a way, Lewis, if you can't win the league, the way we did it, if you can guarantee that, that's as a fan how you'd want it, because winning the league is obviously the trophy and all that goes with that, or it's the Bolton semi-final home and away, the Barnsley final, the memories that even today are still talked about as folklore and legend. You don't get that for finishing second.
No, I think a lot of players have said as well, if they could pick promotion one way, it would be via the playoffs, wouldn't it? But if you look at those points totals, and obviously there's been a lot of talk amongst us recently about how many points we need from the remaining games to make the playoffs. To get 87 points over a 46-game season and not get promoted automatically, that's pretty incredible. I'll always, from that season, remember... obviously I remember the playoffs, the playoff final, and then there were some other great games as well. But I remember going into that final game of the season, and City were away to Blackburn. Yeah. And the week before, they played on a Friday night. I can't remember who they played, but they won. And all the fans were on the pitch, and they were celebrating like they'd won promotion, because we had to go away to Charlton the following day. And Charlton were up, they were champions, and we won 3-1, which kept it alive to the final weekend. We played Walsall. They were away to Blackburn. They went 1-0 down, and we did everything but score. And when we broke the deadlock, the elation from David Johnson and all the players, and he ran over to the sideline, you can see it in his face, the way he wheeled away, all the players mobbed him. It's just special memories. And like I say, that Fulham game on its own wouldn't live long in the memory, but it formed such a key part of what was to come. And Martin Rooser was such a big part of that. So very fitting that he got that goal. And as I say, things went from there. I don't think he started that many games. He kind of got the tag of super sub, didn't he?
He did.
Probably off the back of that goal, but he definitely had a knack of coming on and making a difference. Kind of similar to maybe Bersant Salina. Disgraceful.
I wonder what the viewers make of that connection. I'm just looking at the league table. Could you say about the points total just before as you sort of round up this time machine? Look at it. You had to go back to the year 1996-97 season to see the first time we hadn't finished with above 80 points, and that season we finished fourth with 74. So, for a consistent period of time, we were 83 in the 97-98 season. The 98-99 we finished third behind Bradford by a point, 86 points. Sunderland won the league that year with 105. Then, of course, is the year. So consistently very good, and always the bridesmaids, as we were christened.
It was building blocks, though, wasn't it, Coxie? It was like every year we'd make a couple of signings, and then that summer we sold Dyer, got in McGreal, Jermaine Wright, obviously strengthened with Marcus Stewart in the January. It was just building up to that promotion. I feel. I don't know if you'd agree, Coxie. Every year,
Like you said, we were the bridesmaids. Three seasons before in the playoff semi-finals, and like you said earlier, we lost to Bolton, and history repeated itself there. But a pivotal moment is when we signed Marcus Stewart. I think it was in the February. It was a gamble by the club. Ultimately, it paid off. But the Rusa signing, and this was why I chose this game, because this was our introduction into our Dutch master, our super sub. And as you said, he came on the sub and scored that day. And of course, his other famous goal was the Rusa Premiership goal, which we are never going to forget, and we never should forget.
There we go. Our third and final look at the time machine in March, where we will go in April. Only Coxie knows, but whether we see Lewis in the same clothes, whether we see Coxie or myself in the same clothes, that remains to be seen. But Lewis, it's been a real pleasure discussing February 1-0 home victory against Fulham, and I hope it's brought back some good memories for you.
Great memories. Thanks for having me on and getting the opportunity to reflect back on good times.
Thank you very much. Look after yourself, Coxie. So, the time machine in March, our third of 3 visits, has stopped on the 20th of March 2004. Ipswich Town versus Watford. Coxie. Now, I remember this game for a storm. It was blowing a gale.
I don't remember that bit. I remember actually going to the game, but I don't remember the storm.
No, I'm sure it was. Before we get to the game, let's, as always, put a little bit of context of the period. What is going on? Films, music, news. I've got a little bit of news, and I'll come to that last. What are the film and music of that period? What's number one in the box office?
Number one at the box office is a controversial film, I believe, directed by Mel Gibson, called The Passion of Christ.
Really?
Controversial film.
Passion
All the
of
religious
Christ.
people out there didn't really like this one, I don't think.
No, I've actually seen that. I'm not a huge fan of the film. I'm going to be brutally honest. Have you ever seen it?
It's not something. Trouble for me to watch a film. It's got to appeal to me, and it doesn't. So I haven't watched it, mate. No.
All right. No problem at all. So that's number one in the box office. But what's number one in the charts?
Oh, number one in the charts is one of the favourite party weddings. We all love this. Once we've had a few sherbets down this, It is the Cha Cha Slide Part 2 by DJ Casper.
Yes! I'm gonna get funky!
That's the one.
Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time.
See?
Crisscross!
We all love it. Yeah.
Crisscross!
Yeah.
Cha-cha real smooth. What a tune!
He's got the moves.
That is a tune and a half, Coxie. Yeah. I absolutely love that. I have gotten on this day, piece of news. On this day in 2004, 20th of March, we've got an historic event. Stephen Harper was the leadership of the newly created Conservative Party of Canada, became the party's first leader. Ever heard of him? No, me neither. No. Exactly. And the Soul Train Music Awards, the 18th Soul Train Music Awards, Janet Jackson, Outkast, and Beyonce win. Absolutely love Outkast. Shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake that Polaroid picture. Absolutely right. So the music is great. The film isn't too good. We've done the news. Now let's come to the actual game. I remember it for the wind. If it's the game I'm thinking of, Dean Bowditch bursting onto the scene, and it was as windy as it comes. But you don't remember it for that.
I just remember us regaling. This is Dino Bowditch, probably arguably his greatest game. And
look at that. Oh, he's oh no, Lenny Pidge. Is it Lenny Pidgley?
Lenny Pidgley, yeah.
Oh,
I think was mates with Bowditch. Probably not after this, but I'm sure there was something around that they were mates.
That's Sean Dyche at number 4.
Do you know what? You're right. Yes, Sean Dyche. Yeah,
Sean Dyche, number 4. Dean Bowditch again, slotting it in.
What if he talked with his rasping voice then? He must have.
No idea. He actually, you can tell it's Sean Dyche from a million miles away, though, can't you?
Who's picking him up? Who's picking up Bowditch?
Here he comes. Look, long ball. This is why I thought it was a look. That's why I thought it was a goal, because it just dies in the air, and all the trash is blowing everywhere.
Yeah, you can. You're probably right. Yeah.
But Dean Bowditch bursting onto the scene.
Yeah.
Lenny Pidgley not having the greatest days, and Sean Dyche. Oh, I've just got to show you that. That is hilarious. Look at Sean Dyche's reaction for this. Look. That's the classic Sean Dyche reaction. That is. Look at this. Look, ready? He comes into the screen now. Look, he's brilliant.
Oh, thank God.
I love Sean Dyche. Got a lot of time for him. A lot of time for Sean Dyche. I really, really have. But there we go. So, Watford, a time when we used to beat them quite regularly.
We did before this, and then I think shortly after this, and then became our bogey side for a little while until recently we started beating them. Look, obviously they've been in the Premier League, and you know they came down for one season, went straight up, and they look like they're going to come down again this season. But yeah, they were our bogey side. But you're right. This is the days when we used to beat them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, love it, love it. And the team that day for us: Kelvin Davis, Fabian Vilnius, Matt Richards, Matt Elliott. Matt Elliott on loan from Leicester.
On loan from Leicester, yeah.
Yeah. John McGrill, Jim Magilton, Tommy Miller, Jermaine Wright, Ian Westlake, Dean Bowditch, Darren Ben. They had Hyde Helgeson up front for them. Paul Devlin, Gavin Mahan, but of course, big bad Sean Dyche. But there we go, Coxie.
Yeah, I didn't actually see Sean Dyche until you mentioned that. Sean Dyche played for Watford.
There you go. That's our third visit of 3. That's the March TT time machine done, Coxie.
By the way, to finish, a gale force win and a Dino hat trick.
There you go. So we've looked. We've had Cruncher on to look at 1992. We've had Lewis. We've just looked at Dino bursting on the scene. Where will April take us?
Only I know, and you will soon.
There you go. So until April, with love, with care. We'll see you then.